Всем привет, с вами Совет, и вы смотрите Североамериканский регион.
안녕하세요. 탑티어 팀의 63입니다. 여러분은 WGLN을 보고 계십니다.
Hola, yo soy Baby Halo del equipo I Love Lamp y están viendo WGLNA.
Bonjour, je suis Fat Cobb de Team Full Potato et vous regardez WGLNA.
I'm Laps of Team SIMP, and you're watching the WGLNA.
All right, good to see all those different team representatives representing different countries, different dialects, and different cultures that all make America so beautiful and wonderful. And we get to celebrate that with tanks here at the WGLNA. Welcome back. Match number 3 is about to begin. I'm Joshua Gray.
And I'm Randall Holcomb. We have had match after match already that are excellent tonight. I am predicting Simple Tankers, the match coming up right now, to be the cherry on top for the night.
Okay, well, we still have one more match after that, though. RBIS versus Simply Irresistible.
That is just like having a side of hot chocolate.
Now I'm hungry and thirsty. All right, so make sure to follow us on Twitter at WGLNA, Facebook.com/WGLNA, and make sure to use that hashtag when using your tweets so we can find your tweets and put them up on the broadcast.
And then the question for the day, guys, are you on team hashtag RU251 or hashtag AMX1390? Let us know, what tank would you bring to the battlefield at WGLNA, hashtag WGLNA.
Now we're seeing both these tanks used quite well by these proficient tankers, and looking forward to seeing what the audience has to say when it comes to those different selections. And I'm also looking forward to what our two team representatives have to say in our face-off. So with that, gentlemen, we bid you good evening and welcome.
Schönen guten Abend.
Hey, guys.
All right, start with Laps first. Laps continually undefeated here. Any words of wisdom you care to impart to us tonight?
Well, you know, when you're on top, you got to start making sure you watch your back. I got a close eye on these simple tankers tonight. You know, I don't want to see no deflated balls on the field. I don't want to see any of this sketchy stuff. So I'm watching.
Well, I think they're a little bit better than 11 for 12, at least when it comes to that. Jay Smooth, how you doing tonight? Good to see you.
Oh, it's good to be here. Good to see you guys. I don't know what Laps is talking about. This ball seems very pumped. No issues here. Our admin looks at all my team's balls before the matches start. Sometimes Clutch will even make sure the balls look good. So I don't know what he's talking about.
Got it. Okay. Jay Smooth, the match against Roulette you're still waiting on until they come back. But you had that tiebreaker win against Penguin Mafia. What happened there, and how have you guys kind of recovered from that battle?
Penguin Mafia earned it. We obviously didn't make some shots and dropped some games, but Penguin Mafia, just because they don't have the record, they're still a Gold League team. Sometimes they play up to different teams. Sometimes we play down, but they're a Gold League team. Anything can happen on any given day.
Yeah.
We're good. We're good.
Jay Smooth, can you raise your arms for me real quick? Okay, I was just making sure you weren't cutting your sleeves as well. All right, any words for your opponents before we start? Starting with you, Jay Smooth.
No, I'm ready for some simp on simp crime, and I think everybody out there is too. We've always had great matches with these guys. Hopefully this time we come out over the top, and I hope Laps burns in a fire.
Laps, anything to say to that?
That hurt. No, I'm looking forward to playing against these guys. You know, we have a long history of practicing together, and it's always kind of nice to feel comfortable again on the field. You know, there's no this is going to be a nice match, so no anxiety.
All right, well, after the match, make sure to keep a candle burnt for the Seahawks because they're going to take it again this year. Thank you, gentlemen. Good luck. We'll see you on the battlefield.
All right, guys, straight to the danger zone.
Oh, man.
Oh man, always good to see Jay Smooth. One of the most inspirational individuals. He's actually a coach for football, so he knows how to be a leader of a team, especially here on World of Tanks. And as a reminder as well, betting begins right now, so make sure to place your bets at the beginning of every single battle. It's real simple. All you have to do is follow the syntax in the Twitch chat. If you have any questions, ask Badco. He's our head moderator. And if maybe you do good enough tonight, you could be one of our leaders. Check out the leaderboard, WGLConnect.com, to see if you're one of them. You could take home a nice little prize tonight.
But don't be discouraged if you run out of points.
No.
You will always get some free points from Josh, so you can keep playing the betting game. You always
10
have
points.
a chance.
There you go. Everybody gets 10 points. So he's got a shot there. It's a lot of fun to see, a lot of interaction with people at the beginning of every single battle. And I think a lot of people don't really know who to bet on, at least for the last match. I'm sure a lot of people will be hitting Simp. But,
a lot of people will be hitting Simp, but want to play a little bit of a risk, because that's what betting's all about. It's taking that risk. If you bet on Simple Tankers, take a look at Wallhacks, take a look at Tofu Smurf, take a look at Zakum, because they are the people I'm watching tonight. Jay Smooth, it's good to see him back. We'll see if he's how he's doing tonight.
Into the danger zone, as he said. Match number 3, battle number 1. Simp versus Simple Tankers. The WGLNA Classic is about to begin. Randall, what do we have for tanks?
For tanks, we have Simp, the defenders, the red team, with 2 T69s, 2 1390s, No, that's a T54 lightweight. They aren't bringing another RU-251. They're just bringing one. They're going to put Absolute Royal in that T54 lightweight, and then they're going to finish it off with Mac G in a 59-16. That's nice strategy from Simp. Where's that T54 lightweight going? It's going south all the way to the cap. On the other side of that, 2 5100s. That's a lot of damage for Simple Tankers. That is a lot of damage waiting to happen. They're going to have 3 whole RU-251s.
Lamar's, thanks for checking us out, man, and thanks for the tweet. Welcome to the WGLNA.
Oh, hey. We've got so many new viewers tonight. It's great to have them.
We do. Every Tuesday and Thursday for our regular season. We're in week 5. We continue to week 8. We go live at 4:45 Pacific time with our pregame show. Randall and I talk about the different matches and what happened in the previous broadcast for 15 minutes, and our first match starts at 5 o'clock.
And if you want to show up, guys, feel free to also ask us questions. Keep hitting us up on Twitter. It doesn't even matter if it's during the show. We'll be sure to answer. And also, might be a point we make during that pregame show.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. There's a lot of layers in World of Tanks. You've played this game a lot longer than I have, but I've played this game for a number of years.
I remember when you started.
Yeah.
You had the advantage, I think, though, of getting to meet Simp immediately.
Simp?
See,
yeah, Simp and Fulcrum Gaming at the time.
Yeah, they helped you out, man. They set you up. You had a plethora of pro players to rely on, and I think that really helped you just jump ahead because you got set up. Your basics are phenomenal. Anyway, Kraft Lawrence will go down initially as an East Side Scout. That T-37 is a Tier 6 tank, not too healthy. Of course, only takes 680 damage to take him down.
Yeah, that tough role of a scout player, which you played professionally for some time, to gather that information, to be able to be the eyes and ears, quickly move around the battlefield.
And intelligently so. You have to predict where your opponent's going to be, and then you have to find them so your allies can deal some damage, can take advantage of all that vision. But unfortunately, it looks like Kraft Lawrence was not able to do that, and you had Simp doing a better job, having Absolute Royal, who is, by the way, a long-standing excellent scout, one of the original 4 I can think of. Originally there was, I think, Nagatron, Whiskey Dodd, me, and Absolute Royal are the top 4 that I could think of way back when. There weren't really other people who specialized as scouts.
Not necessarily.
There were people who were excellent scouts, but they did other things too, and you wouldn't always see them. But now Absolute Royal has stuck around for so long, and you also have Blue Boys, who didn't used to be a scout player before the WGLNA showed up, but he's become one of the best, if not the best, at scouting right now. And so that gives Simp, not 1 but 2, excellent scouts who are able to predict enemy movement, know the most efficient and safe ways of scouting it, and understand how to make that all work with team play. On top of that, Mac G tells us that Blue Boys is the one making the calls for Simp these days.
Yes, he is. He's taking that position right now as Mac G announces retirement in our episode of Talking Tanks, which aired last week. And as the Simple Tankers attackers are looking for an opening here.
And while we have a moment, Josh, we've got DH Yoko saying, could the mouse ever be used in an AD game? I think he's saying attack defense. I feel its OP armor could prove devastating in city map like Himmelsdorf. Now, okay, I get it. OP armor. Mouse has excellent armor. Absolutely excellent. In an attack defense, you could very well just defend Himmelsdorf with a mouse very well. You could also attack Himmelsdorf very well. but on an open map like Muravanka, not going to work so well.
No, it's
Ruinberg
definitely.
Ruinberg
We
could
will
work.
not see the mouse, though, in this type of format because it is above Tier 8. You'll see no tanks over Tier 8 in 7x54 competitive format.
But theoretically, if you were just to do an attack-defense battle with Tier 10s, which I've done before for some fun, and it does work pretty well. Tier 8 seems to be the most optimal tier.
Yeah, and Tier 10s are used in the Clan
Wars,
Clan Wars and the Clan matches.
Mouse doesn't see as much play these days. E100 seems to be a little bit more preferred.
I went for the E110, E5 on the American side, and its penetration value is not as good as I thought it would be.
All right, here's the
opening engagement here.
Right down the one line, we've got the RU-251s from Simple Tankers, fast, right into the backfield. We've got Zakum in his T-32 to grab the attention of Simp, while Angry White Guy and Tofu Smurf bring out the middle 5100s. They are the major damage dealers here, while the RU-251s are going to pull away the attention of the defender's Simp.
And Simp have done such a good job to fall back at the right time to not take any damage from Tofu Smurf and Angry White Guy. So they have to move in around the corner almost on their own to engage against Simp. Mac G is seen and hit for 319 to try to weaken his position, but he'll maintain his course in that bush to be able to scout these tanks moving around the corner.
But here's what Simp's doing. They're falling back and falling back and falling back, dragging these 5100s out of position where they can't be supported by the RU-251s. Now they're starting to take far too much damage. Zakum does show up in time, but just in time for both 5100s to go down.
Now Zakum is on his own against these two tankers here. 3 tanks still remain for Simple Tankers, 6 alive for Simp. Zakum is surrounded. Adroxus is a lower tank that could be his next target.
But he's getting around behind Zakum. He cannot get his turret around fast enough, and he's out of shells. Crimson is going to need a moment. Zakum going for that kill.
He's turning, but he can't get it. Adroxus gets it in time. 2 tanks remain for Simple Tankers. It's Wallhacks and Executus. Wallhacks is so low.
Executus is on fire, too. 545. So many modules have been damaged from that, and it extended his reload timer so much. Now, Simp, it's all about cleanup.
Executus goes, and Simp takes battle number 1 as the defenders here against Simple Tankers. Really nice pulling back of Simp, kind of just leading their opponents along and then standing their ground.
Yeah, when you can't really just afford to meet it head on and just take that hit to the face, you want to split your opponent up. Kind of make it so those 5100s don't have the support fire. It's a 3v2. That's just this little spot on the map. Now Zakum does come in, but to the south, every other Simp member can support this. The focus fire is so far into the favor of Simp that they don't even have to worry about the tanks to the west, because on top of that, they got the opening kill. They got one of Simple Tankers' RU-251s right off the bat. And because of that, that's so much potential damage that is gone. It's wiped out.
Simp has called a timeout.
Really?
Yeah. And at this time, I'd like to inform everybody about what happened during the other non-broadcasted match of Timed Out versus Top Tier. Timed Out won in the tiebreaker.
What?
Timed Out finally gets their first win this season against Top Tier, 5-4.
And Top Tier is...
Yeah, I know. I'll let you digest it for a bit.
I have to, because Timed Out is the kind of team which has been to our finals before.
Mm-hmm.
And Top Tier finals, Timed Out has struggled this whole time.
They have. Timed Out is a team that's joining us from Brazil, and now they have their first victory, so kudos to them, but still at the bottom of the standings, a long fight for them to get back into the mid-tier of our standings here.
I'm going to have to go look at that replay, all the replays, and you guys can go do that too at fantasywgl.com. Go to the matches. You can look at a record of all matches, all match stats, and there's a little button you can click right under an image of the map, which will allow you to download a replay. You can review it just as we do.
All right, so that timeout was called by Simp. 60 seconds are now over. We're into the 60-second countdown for them to select their tanks. And once you reach into battle number 2, I don't think Simp really has to change anything of what they did with Simple Tankers. It's more of the attack pattern come from ST. So maybe more of an Eastern type scouting run at first, or using more of the magical force as the attackers. It's tough to say against Simp.
Yeah, I don't think Artie's going to be here. I don't think tank destroyers or anything kind of quirky like that. I think it's going to be maybe all-out aggression right at the beginning. That seems a very simple tank.
Using RU-251s. I mean, I can see J Smooth using that tank rather than a WZ-132 and push it up and over together.
maybe this. You know how you've criticized Simple Tankers for not getting the damage in before the engagement? This time, maybe Simple Tankers goes for the opening with all light tanks, all fast light tanks. They go blind fire and just blind fire every common position that there is in a volley. So if they catch someone, he's going to lose so many hit points that when they finally do see him, they're like, wow, that guy's half down.
Yeah.
Let's go in. Let's start this fight. We have the advantage.
It's the best kind of opening to have that Simple Tankers needs for their type of play style. They've been successful with it before, which is why we see it often, but they really need to land those long-range shots first. Here we go. Battle number 2, Maravanka of SIMP versus Simple Tankers. What do we have for tanks?
All right, much the same from SIMP this time, defending with the 2 T69s, 2 1390s, a single RU-251, Absolute Royal in that T54 lightweight, and then Brodus bringing a 5916. Now, Simple Tankers is going to actually do much the same strategy as last time. Those 2 AMX 5100s. Heavy tanks, not a lot of armor. They're French with autoloaders, so plenty of damage waiting to happen. With a T32 played by Zakum, who has traditionally worked rather well with Tofu Smurf and Angry White Guy. So those 3 as a team should do well, with 3 RU-251s as a hit squad and a T-37 by Kraft Lawrence to play the flank. We'll see if they can do it.
Question from Shifty Jammo. We're seeing more Artie in WGLNA. Which Artie is preferred in 7x54 and why? We see the M44. We see the GW Panther.
We see the AMX 13F3. Those 3 show up quite a bit. We've seen a few other ones, but never with much success. Those are the 3 I can think of that have seen any success at all.
Yeah, the best answer is kind of the total team lineup. Fej gets hit for 242, and using those tier points appropriately for that Artie, so the rest of your other tanks don't suffer as well.
Yeah, it sometimes bringing that GW Panther means you have that extra tier point, and it's a better Artie, but it's also 1 more point. The AMX 13F3, which I believe that was Fun Gaming loves to bring that one.
Yes, they do. They do.
And that's Facepalm, who loves to bring it and has been performing rather well. He's got some shots he's made that are some of the top highlights of the season. Direct fire and Artie, and it's not known for its accuracy. It's known for some good maneuverability, but not much more.
Kraft Lawrence in his tier 6 goes down again. The first tank to fall for Simple Tankers here.
Yeah, and if we look at where Brodus is, this is passive scouting right here. He's in a 5916, can barely even see his tank. You can only see his little turret sticking out of the bush, and he is just watching the cap, predicting that Kraft Lawrence in a T-37 is going to pressure that point in the map, while Simple Tankers will use the distraction to push from the north. Very similar to what they did last time. But without Kraft Lawrence, there's no distraction. Without that distraction, you're not finding any huge advantages when you begin that engagement. Your opponent's going to see you coming, Simp knows what's going to happen, and they're going to be able to deal with this a second time. Simple Tankers has to change it up, or some kind of miracle, I think, for them to find success this battle. Because it's already 4 minutes, 30 seconds in, and you don't have too much time to play around anymore. The defender will win if time runs out.
Movement coming from Simple Tankers, now setting up an attack run as they've conglomerated more towards the center of the map. Executus will be leading, well, he'll be taking the rear, while the leader will be Zakum right now.
Yeah, that's T-32.
And he takes a hit for 252 damage.
All right, that's shots from Absolute Royal, Adroxus. And this is a safe approach. Now 253 into him again. T-69's getting into position. Crimson and Adroxus, they have almost perfect shots in this approach if they just peek up a little bit more. And now shots fired from Absolute Royal. The T-54 lightweight, not in proper cover, takes 594 damage. But here's the engagement. 5100s have found tanks, and they are taking fire themselves.
Firing back, Pub Whisper loops around Zakum, and Adroxus is low. However, he falls back, allowing the rest of his team to fire into the aggressors. Adroxus still left alive. Heavy 20, Brodus set up quite the trifecta of fire here. Great crossfire coming from this team.
And now Blue Boys is taking fire. He's got one shell left. He's tracked in the open, but doesn't matter. Looks like T-32 Zakum is going down before they can get that kill. They finally do get him, but now Fej is sitting healthy at a great distance. Pub Whisperer, Tofu Smurf, Angry White Guy can't afford to take much more.
Yeah, Simp are punishing Simple Tankers for moving in towards them, almost like laying a trap down. And Simple Tankers is low with 2 tanks remaining. Simp has 4.
Yeah, and they're well rehearsed in how to defend. Now Executus, 15 in his RU-251, is going to try and keep Fej at bay for a little while, but there's not enough time for Angry White Guy to reload, because Brodus is moving in, so is the rest of Simp. Absolute Royal, as well as Heavy 20, are all getting closer, and Executus was not able to come out ahead against Fedge. Fedge is sitting healthy and is making his connections.
Tables will turn after this battle, as Simple Tankers will become the defenders, and see if Simp can crack.
All right, here's why the 5916 is a good tank.
The defense of Simple Tankers. Why is it a good tank, Randall?
Fires so fast. So fast.
Angry White Guy goes down, and that's it. Simp leads 2-0 after another successful defense against the attacking team. I always loved watching Simple Tankers attack because of how swift they are, how almost choreographed their movements can be on these different maps.
And how decisive they are.
Yeah.
Once they start, there's so little hesitation, which is what you have to respect out of Simple Tankers. Many teams, many players will instinctively back off after taking fire, because when you start in playing World of Tanks, it's one of those habits many people form. You take fire, and because you're low level, most players don't understand the concepts yet of creating those crossfires and teamwork. So it's very hard to take that habit and just get rid of it, to just stomp it out, and it takes a lot of practice. Simple Tankers has done that, and you can see when they start taking fire, they don't lose focus. They don't get scared. They keep going, and they stay focused, and they stay organized. Problem is, Simp is so excellent at defending that even with Simple Tankers level attacks, you have these far superior Simp defenses.
Yeah, superior indeed. But now, when the tables turn, can those defenses from Simp kind of be acclimated into Simple Tankers type of play? From what they see from a defender's side as the attackers, can they utilize what they see in order to defend better as we switch the sides?
So Simple Tankers taking a page out of the Simp book.
Well, it's kind of like they assess how Simp has. They assess how Simp. So there's a lot of Simp names floating around here. They assess how Simp has defended, and so can they use that information to see how Simp's going to attack?
Very possible,
Yeah.
but it's probably something they would have already known. There's such close teams being a part of the Simp clan that if they didn't know the strategy already, I would be surprised.
All right, and here we go. Battle number 3. Simp will be on the offense. Simple Tankers on the defense on Lorovanka. What do we have for tanks?
For tanks, 2 T69s, 2 1390s, single RU-251, and now 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs for Simp. So they're going for that 2 tier 7s instead of that tier 6. And hey, look, I just noticed there's no Mac tonight.
There was before.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be sitting out.
They're switching him out maybe.
Yeah, giving him a little break.
On the roster.
Now, take a look at Simple Tankers. 3 T69s, 2 RU-251s, Pub Whisperer in the T54 Lightweight. He's performed very well in that in the past, and a 5916 by Kraft Lawrence. So Simp, while they brought 2 T69s last time, we've got Simple Tankers kind of upping that bet. They're saying, I call that one more T69.
Spleen Face, I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's wrong at all. Thanks for placing your bet. Make sure to keep placing those bets at the beginning of every single battle on Twitch chat. Badco standing by to help you guys out. And also a huge thank you to anybody else that's been quite a positive influence here in our Twitch chat. Tofu Smurf, 2 blind shots coming towards Absolute Royal to shut down that north scouting position he has.
We've got a little bit of coverage here. Simp having a widespread Brodus and Heavy 20 in the east, and a very similar lineup from Simp. This is almost the same defense, just an extra T69. Simple Tankers saying the T69s do so much work, why not bring one more? Makes sense to me.
Let's look at the 3 tankers that are on the hillside here. Zach Koom, Angry White Guy, and Wallhacks.
Yeah, those 3 will wipe any one of these tanks off the map in an instant.
I'm intrigued why they use the 2 T69s here instead of an RU-251 or 1390.
Hull down, autoloader, short reload. 4 quick shells. Enough damage to almost wipe any of these poorly armored and low health light tanks. You've got 1390s and RU-251s. You've also got M41 Walker Bulldogs. All of those tanks, most of the way down in one clip between 2 T69s. Before an RU-251 can even reload after firing a shell, the 2 T69s will have wiped him out. They will have gotten enough shells out. 3, then he's gone in an instant. They can shift that fire because they have 4 shells each to kill about 3 tanks between them in a very short amount of time. Now there's a little bit less damage than 3 full tanks worth of kills, but what you have to also remember is there are other tanks on the battlefield that are going to be supporting them. So those 3 T-69s are going to ensure that 3 tanks die very quickly.
Well, Tofu, Smurf, and Executus definitely have this west side locked down here. It's all a matter of movement for Simp right now.
It really is, and they're sending Brodus in right now. He's going along that K line, and they've spotted Pub Whisperer, who is in a T-54 lightweight. And the tank is down south because the turret is actually rather well armored, allowing him to sit in a position where only his turret is exposed, which is called hull down. And he can spot, but the fire he'll take is minimal because he's going to bounce a lot of those shells. They will not penetrate. They don't have enough penetration to break through. It's too thick. So now we've got a little bit of motion. We've got some push up from Simp. We've got Fedge going around to the west, probably, while Adroxus and Crimson Corsair are going to start pushing up the middle, along almost the same route that Simple Tankers tried earlier. But I think Simple Tankers, if they just wait for that trigger, they should be fine. But there are some variations. Look at Blue Boys. He's sitting on the 6th line. And then Heavy 20 as well in a 1390, who is on reload right now, are going to be coming in from the east. They're expecting Simple Tankers to react by pushing east side, and expecting the T-69's Adroxus and Crimson Corsair to actually be unsupported. But they won't be. There's only Absolute Royal pushing in from the north, and he's going to be kind of a distraction maybe. Although a little spotting goes a long way. We've got Blue Boys and Heavy 20 spotted. Simple Tankers may be able to react to this properly now.
They know Adroxus and Crimson Corsair are right over those hills, and Simp has got to make a push here at the 230 mark.
And Blue Boys, look at how close he is to Kraft Lawrence. Kraft Lawrence just has to sit still, fire, just wait.
Look at this movement coming from Simple Tankers as the defenders are trying to get to the side of these tanks.
There it is, Fedge. Fedge is going to move up. You're going to have cap pressure, and in that... Oh, he's going to get off. So it's a very slight distraction. They're doing that at the same time Brodus moved up.
Oh, no. Angry White Guy got in front of Zakum shot, and Zakum shot the back of his own teammate.
Oh.
Now Zakum gets hit for 3 hits as he falls back. Angry White Guy now getting unloaded upon. And the smart type of play from around the corner is now going to backfire a bit against Simple Tankers, as Angry White Guy is the first tank to fall, and Zakum is at less than half health.
All that tension, all that, and then in one moment, the fatal mistake by Simple Tankers. And now they do have control of the west side, Simp the east, and Simp must go up and over, but they're so unified right now. They know their focus, and it looks like it's going to be onto Zakum, but Wallhacks is doing an excellent job at blocking. They may shift his focus to Wallhacks, and they do.
Fej continues to take fire, and he falls. Zakum so low on hit points that one shot will take him down, and it happens. Executus and Tofu Smurf. Now the next 2 tanks in the sights of Simp. They focus on Executus first. 1 minute and 8 seconds left for Tofu Smurf and Pub Whisperer to try to escape.
They could do it. There's a chance. It's going to be difficult, but the chase is on, and they've got a little bit of distance. Tofu and Pub Whisperer actually should probably split up, much in the same way we've seen in a few other matches. Drag their opponent apart, and then try and play for time. 48 seconds. Pub Whisperer needs to go south for this to work, but he's taking so much damage. If he gets into the defilade, he may be able to buy a little more time.
He can make it, and it looks like he is.
He's in the low ground.
Still 2 tanks remain here. Pub Whisperer on the run with 218 on the last shot. He could fire back towards Absolute Royal. He's turned his turret in that direction.
And Absolute's 1 shell. 1 more shell for him. As he goes up and over, not a connection. And now Tofu's out in the open, tracked, and he has nowhere to run.
And he's gone. It's all up to Pub Whisperer here with 18 seconds left to go. Absolute Royal fires in. He falls. Pub Whisperer holds his ground. 13 seconds. Simp needs to move in and get this kill. Crimson Corsair is loaded with all 4 shells.
He has the damage.
7 seconds left. Crimson sees Pub.
He still has time to get the kill.
There's 1 shot. Needs it. Oh, he gets it with 1 second to spare. Simp gets the victory in Battle 3. Barely. Barely impressive play coming from Simp. Yet again.
That was close, man. Excellent job, though. At the very end, both light tanks splitting up. You wouldn't think split up, you know, because you learned that in Scooby-Doo. Don't split up. That's when bad things happen. But when you're looking at this kind of a situation where you need time, that is when it needs to happen. That is when you split up. And Simple Tankers did what they needed to do, but here's the problem. Pub Whisperer, he was found. That's it. That's really it. If he'd stayed behind cover, Crimson Corsair might not have been able to find him simply because there was an obstacle in the way in that situation.
Simply because.
Simply because. Although earlier in this map, you talked
Yeah.
about team damage. In Simp, they call that simping.
And they do.
It's simping a shot. So in the Simp versus Simple Takers match, we have simping and simple solutions.
It's Simpception, guys. That's what's happening here on the broadcast at WGLNA.
So much simp.
Looking at the damage being done from these different tankers, Crimson Corsair was 10 for 14. 2 of those shots did not penetrate, so he at least got 12 direct hits.
That's what you get when you're firing all heat.
Yeah.
Heat, you find a track or you find that wrong angle and your shell is just fizzled. But he did that. That's excellent damage for him. And right behind him, I mean, the closest other person is Blue Boys, who did 1,600. So there's a pretty wide gap between him and everyone else's damage dealing.
Well, you have Heavy 20 and Adroxus close to 1,000, and everybody else did at least over 500. So they are spreading out the damage, but it means that people are landing their shots when the window is open. And the window could be open for 3 seconds, but if you land it, it makes a difference throughout the entire fight. Battle number 4 between Simp and Simple Tankers is about to begin. One more time, Amaravanka. What do we have for tanks?
For tanks, 2 T-69s, 2 1390s, RU-251, 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs for Simp. They are attacking the red team. Now, on the blue team, Simple Tankers, who are on their second and final defense, 2 T-32s, heavier armor, more hit points, firepower, 105 cannons there, and hull down power with a Pershing to complement with flexibility with that hull down capability at the same firepower. 2 RU-251s, T-54 lightweight to play the south, and a 5916 to finish it out as some cheap passive scouting.
Oh, to answer your question, Warp Cordova, did you ever say what tank you'd bring? Oh, man.
You hadn't said it. I thought you were trying to not show bias or influence anyone, but I'll ask you now, Josh. Go for it. I'll tell you mine.
I would take the RU-251 because I favor, just slightly more due to my experience with the tanks that I play in World of Tanks, the consistent fire. So I like the RU-251 for that. And also, it's a pretty fast tank.
Yeah, I certainly do like the RU-251, but nostalgia for me means it's 1390. Because I'm just used to it. I know how to play it. It has so much damage potential in a short amount of time that as kind of a lone wolf player or a scout, you can kind of handle yourself while not having to worry about being outmatched too badly. Because if you're caught out and it's not going to go well, and you're an RU-251, you're going to get less damage out before you go down, as opposed to a 1390, where I feel like if you need that desperate situation where you have to just get as much damage out before you die, 1390 is my choice. That's all the why.
Fair point. Can't argue with that logic.
Personal playstyle stuff.
All right, Simple Tankers, looking at your defensive schematic kind of from this top-down view of where they've placed their tanks. And a lot of blind fire heading over into the east towards potential places for Simp.
Yeah, it's a really strong east play. And it's curious because Simp usually chooses to attack through the middle of the map, down the 4, 5, and 6 lines, and then sometimes from the north, but they've very rarely gone with something aggressive from the east. If they go for some kind of push, they'd be pushing across open ground. So I don't expect an absolute Royal Brodus or Blue Boys to do that. It doesn't seem a very Simp thing to do.
Of course.
They may head slightly north across the F line, where we could see some kind of a move in right onto Zakum and Angry White Guy, which would cut off Tofu and Executus, but Kraft Lawrence and Wallhacks would still be able to support. You'd still have an overmatch, though, and that could be important as a point for that attack. Fedge, in the meantime, could kind of block Tofu and Executus, and you could have 2 tanks fighting 1, whilst you have an overmatch on the more important section.
Blue Boys is being continually lit up here, but he has fallen back away from enemy eyes. Simp taking their time before they move in. A little bit too close in the last battle here with that 1 second to spare, but he still got it.
And now time. The one thing we've always criticized Simp for. Now, when I talked to Mac G, that wasn't what he talked about. He talked about their focus fire. their marksmanship, their individual play being the things they want to work on and they want to improve. But it wasn't necessarily their time management.
Oh, that harkens back to the very first Season 1 finals of SIMP versus, at the time, Fulcrum Gaming, who later became Fnatic. The shot that cost them $25,000. It was one miss, and then the other one was in the air towards the tank. But it did not connect because they ran out of time. That's what divided a potential tiebreaker and a championship between SIMP and Fulcrum.
Yeah, it is crazy how time seems to be that thing that SIMP just can't quite get a hold of.
Now movement coming from SIMP to get across the map. Setting up closer to that 230 mark that Randall and I emphasize a number of times, as if you're going to attack, you need to do it by 230. A little bit of shots into SIMP here to saying, oh no, Blue Boys captain, no you don't. You're not going to take this one easily.
Well, he's going to have to back off a little bit, noticing the crossfires up, but Crimson Corsair up and over 960 damage right into him, and he's going to start trying to back off as Angry White Guy is taking a large amount of damage. Adrox is staying up, and Heavy 20 moving in. They get the first kill, and they're trying to keep Crimson alive, but that's not going to happen. Wallhacks picks it up.
It's a one-on-one when it comes to tanks being destroyed from both teams here, and I was looking more towards Blue Boys captain's reaction, and he's going to lead from the front again in the 1390. He wants Zakum. He gets it.
But Kraft Lawrence sneaks that one in there. He's got a little bit more damage left, and he's going to make these trades even for Simp and Simple Tankers. Now, look at the hit points are going in favor of Simple Tankers.
So Simple Tankers is using this more long-range approach of baiting the opponent towards a specific area in the map and then punishing them for it. And now it's 5 against 3. Simple Tankers have the advantage. Adrox is now pulling back along with Absolute Royal, and Simple Tankers will move in for the kill.
And here comes Bug Whisperer, just like always, right at the end of the match. T54 Lightweight comes screaming in to get the kills, cleaning it up.
From behind gets it. Absolute Royal is next up. Target fire against him, and he goes down. Fej is next.
The last tank alive, Simple Tankers.
Put a point on the board. Successful defense against SIMP, as that does it for Marovanka, and we're going to move on to Prohorovka.
Ah, I'm loving that.
That's the Simple Tankers map.
It's the SIMP map now, too. Oh, this is going to be... I thought this was pretty good, but I'm now looking forward to something even better. Now, let's take a moment, though, and look at the Simple Tankers defense here. SIMP attempts to attack. It's too late in the game. They've brought T-32s. That armor, those hit points, does make a difference, and that's where we have T-32's Zakum and Angry White Guy blocking damage with armor, decreasing the efficiency of Simp's attack, kind of just blunting that sword.
Blunting the sword indeed is a good way to put it. Simple Tankers, with that successful defense, now can shift the momentum into their favor moving into the next map. However, SIMP is on the defense at the beginning of Prohorovka, and they're 2 battles away from taking this series. Still an uphill climb, an uphill battle for Simple Tankers, because both of these teams have performed so well in Prohorovka. If you're unfamiliar with both these teams, SIMP is one of the major clans when it comes to World of Tanks, even outside of esports. And the majority, I believe all of Simple Tankers are part of that clan as well. But you can only have one, 10-man roster team, with the SIMP name. So they decided to go with Simple Tankers for the second team.
Yeah, they were the original second team, although they weren't really a second team.
No, yeah,
they just got noticed second in a way. SIMP was just kind of that top team, and Simple Tankers was another team that was made. I used to play with some of them for a while in some tournaments back in the day, and they felt like they were just as skilled.
And in many ways, and in many scenarios, they are. But SIMP just behaves so well. They gel so well as a team. It almost seems like you're seeing one intelligence working together rather than 7 players working together.
I mean, all of these players, barring Absolute Royal. Absolute Royal used to be on SIMP. Well before the WGLNA, he was a member of SIMP, left, and now he's back. The rest of the roster from SIMP has been together since the beginning of the WGLNA. That's coming up on 2 years.
Yeah, and that makes a difference. It really does. There is no magic wand for time. There's no magic wand for experience. That's one of the big reasons why SIMP continues to be undefeated in this league. But as we learned from Season 4 and previous seasons as well, any tree can fall, any team can go down. What do we have? Battle number 5 for tanks.
All right. Looking at SIMP, the red team, defending 2 T-32s, 2 1390s, a single RU-251, and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. So solid armor, solid hit points, lots of maneuverability. This is a very common and successful strategy on defense or attack on this map. Now, simple tankers, 2 T-32s, 2 T-69s, and 2 1390s with a T-37 to finish it off. This is a rather uncommon strat and doesn't have many results, so it's hard to judge, but it does have some more hit points. It does have some high burst damage and also quick reloads, meaning there's not going to be as much of a lull in the engagement.
Hey, you're welcome again, Shifty Jammo. Thanks again for your support. And thanks for all the tweets we've received tonight as well. Send your tweets at WGLNA, hashtag WGLNA. So we can find those tweets, put them up in the broadcast. Easier for us to find them when you use that hashtag. Now looking at the opening move coming from Simple Tankers on the attack in the center of the map. Using that hold down position of Jay Smooth and Angry White Guy along with Executives pushing up here.
Oh, do you remember in seasons 4 and 3 when Simple Tankers would just run up to the middle of the map with 1390s, T69s?
And the WZ-132s, yes.
Oh, yeah, and they would just unload and catch the early scout, or they would just unload on their opponent as they were moving up because they had a faster lineup. That might be what we're seeing here, or at least theme and variations, as Kraft Lawrence is in the backfield. That little T-37. That's
possible up and over. Kraft Lawrence taking significant hits, but look at this. They're not prepared. They're not prepared for Simple Tankers coming up and over. Adroxus gets hit twice. Missed shot from Pub Whisperer on the move. Crimson Corsair is there to try to pull some of the tanks towards him, but Adroxus goes down, and Kraft Lawrence even gets a shot from behind.
And now cover fire from up above. T-69s are going to go for the long-range fire, while T-32s, 1390s move in on the low ground to take out Crimson Corsair in that T-32. In the meantime, you're going to have a bit of a flank from Brodus on the side. He's going to be able to try to deal with Tofu Smurf, Executives, and Wallhex. He's going to be able to take down Tofu. That's one T-69 down. That's one major part of this strategy that has been shut down. But look at the rest of the team. The rest of SIMP cannot expose themselves because they will take fire first. They can't settle their guns. 1390s do not have the gun depression. It doesn't go down enough.
Jay Smooth and Angry White Guy were in a great position behind those tanks, the dead tanks, to take cover and return fire towards the northern section. SIMP leaves the north and now moves to the east. Fej takes a big hit for 273. Executives continues to fire, allowing the rest of Simple Tankers to set up here. And SIMP understands they've taken a brutal hit and they're going to pull back away from the firefight. That's going to leave Kraft Lawrence.
They need to regroup. They need to reconnoiter themselves and then approach the situation again. They need to, so that their opponent doesn't know where they are and is going to have a harder time reacting. Simple Tankers makes the smart choice here. They do not chase their opponent. Chasing your opponent, you're going to get strung out and you're going to become disorganized because you will have some units that are faster than the other.
Especially when that opponent is SIMP as well.
Exactly, and they're all light tanks right now, where you have mostly heavies and mediums. You only have Kraft Lawrence, Executives, and Pub Whisperer. You cannot keep up with SIMP. You cannot chase them.
15 seconds left on the flag cap. SIMP has to move in fast. Fej may be going for potentially a sacrificial run as he's the closest one. Now Brodus, Heavy, 20, Absolute Royal, and Blue Boys are moving as fast as they can to get towards that flag cap.
Maybe Fej grabs the attention of Simple Tankers, and at the same time you have the rest of SIMP up and over, and they just have to make that one shot. They're going to have a fraction of a second to make it.
Still waiting for that base capture to be displayed for our admin to confirm. Long-range fire, not sure if there's a reset, and there is a victory on the screen for Simple Tankers, it looks like.
There are some tanks dying, though, right now, and there's a small part of the game where you get an extension. It is over. That is the victory. Sorry, I had to point that one out. There's this tiny little time where if tanks start dying, you get a few extra seconds in a battle, and I thought we were about to see that for a moment, but not enough tanks going down quickly enough. SIMP, though, valiant effort, but Simple Tankers handled that battle excellently.
They did. They did. And now moving on into the team score, I want to break down just how much Jay Smooth was, just how crucial Jay Smooth was, I should say, in that T-32. The amount of damage, 1649. Now only 5 for 9 shots, but it's almost like suppressing fire in a sense. The tank continually fires towards the enemy, and that either makes SIMP fall back or stay on the move.
Now, another thing to look at. Take a look, not at Jay Smooth's blocked armor. He bounced 240 damage worth, but look at Wallhacks. Wallhacks bounced 600 damage in shells. Now, this with Angry White Guy, 480. And then 390 damage blocked by armor on Tofu Smurf. Everyone else, no real bounces, but that's what's so important. That damage adds up to another tank alive, and that's why Simple Tankers came out of that brawl ahead. The armor had that effect. These guys are mostly firing gold shells. They have higher pen, but with them having that advantage, you have players of such skill that they know how to position and angle their tanks to bounce even shells with higher penetration, the kind that are performing exceptionally well. And when you're in a pub match or something, yes, you're going to use gold shells and you're going to pen almost everyone, but you're not going to be able to make that work against people who know what you're doing and know how to play around that part of the game. Because gold shells don't mean pen. They mean better pen and different performance.
Yeah.
Excellent play from Simple Tankers, that battle.
Battle number 6, Simp versus Simple Tankers, still back and forth here, but Simp leads 3-2. Both teams veterans of the Gold League, and this still could go either way.
Very well could.
What do we have for tanks, Randall?
4, 5, 1390s, a T29, and an M41 Walker Bulldog for Simp. This is a strat. Actually, I think I can like this. I'll have to explore what they're going to do, but that could be cool, actually. I was going to hate on it for a minute, but no. Simple Tankers, a single T32, 1390, 3 RU-251s, and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. So the RU-251s and a 1390 kind of working as a hit squad will not be able to outburst Simp, but Simp, if they can get in close range and get within less than, let's say, 100 to 50 meters of their opponent, should be able to come out ahead in a brawl. However, if they cannot make all of their connections, if their shots do not land to deal damage, then they will quickly lose momentum, and that's where this strategy from Simp could fail. But it could also just work to stonewall Simple Tankers in that there's so much damage waiting around any corner that somebody peeks up and they're vaporized, just taken off the field.
Tofu Smurf vying for the east side here. Still in the attack, Simple Tankers.
Oh, I see what's going on. Okay, look at Heavy 20 and Crimson Corsair's positions right now. I'm going to take a look at the telestration to kind of map out this crossfire that we're seeing. So you've got fire down that one line. You've also got fire all the way into about a range like this. And you've got coverage there. Now, what you also have is cover from Blue Boys and Absolute Royale and a Droxus. So you have so much control that you can fire upon any target within this half of the map, the northern half. So this problem for Simple Tankers is they're trying to do much the same. They have cover all the way down that one line. They have protection all the way in the middle. And then they have vision all the way from the east side of the map. Both teams excellent coverage before we start any kind of real engagement. And we're going to see that T29 facing off against a T32. Can the T29 stand up and keep up with the higher tier and better armored tank?
Stand up and keep up. That's a good way to put it. Give you an update on the non-broadcasted match. Victoria's Secret and I Love Lamp are currently tied up 2-2. We'll keep you updated as that match continues here. Plenty of time for Simple Tankers to make an attack run. Simp's not moving past those flag caps here.
Simple Tankers is the one who has to attack. Simp can keep with this, and Brodus hasn't taken a hit yet. Cover fire. And Brodus bouncing the shot. Zakum unable to connect with the very large cupola of the T29, even though he has a high ground, firing over Brodus now. But Brodus is doing a good job. He's staying mobile, and he's moving unpredictably. He's not moving back and forth constantly. He's moving back and forth periodically and shifting up the pattern there to throw off his opponent. Falling into patterns, humans were designed to recognize patterns. That's why we're highly intelligent. If you work in patterns, most people could figure it out without even thinking about it.
Listen up, kids. Randall's helping you out with your biology homework.
I didn't even think about that.
Wall hacks. Takes a shot to the left for two shots.
Oh, Angry White Guy. Back. Look at him way far in the backfield where Heavy 20 and Crimson Corsair are. And that could be support fire. Misses, though, from Blue Boys, Droxus, and Absolute Royal. If they make the second ones, these are far shots, though. These are 500-plus meter shells that you're trying to make connect on a target that is actually in a hull down, in a defilade. So maybe they should have held on to those shells. Simple Tankers could take advantage of that if they've been counting shells landing on dirt. But this is also a safe place for Simple Tankers to re-engage because they are at a health point deficit, I believe. Zakum at 867 hit points. Actually not winning over the T-29. Now this is mostly due to the support fire of Simp, but this is a team game. That's what you do. Support your T-29. His job is to sit there and hold down and tell people, no, you shall not pass.
You shall not pass. 400-meter range shall not pass.
Oh, there's the connection. I think we jinxed him.
Brodus took it.
326 into the turret. So we've got, looks like 2 connections into the turret and the rest of that fire elsewhere. And then there's a bounce on the top. That's why the T-29, that's why we have it, because it has so much armor. The only weakness is that it's the very top of the turret, while very well raised and has those advantages, is a weak spot.
And here's the duck and weaving coming out from Tofu Smurf and Wallhacks as they bob back and forth. Wallhacks took the majority of that damage, and Zakum goes down. First tank down for Simple Tankers.
And they're going to keep trying that momentum while Simp is in a rotation. You have Heavy 20, Crimson Corsair moving to the south while Blue Boys Absolute Royal move back. Adroxus is also falling back. They don't want to get into that close one-on-one engagement with Simple Tankers. They want to put distance so they can get the advantage in the burst fire and not be focused down instantly.
Adroxus takes another hit, and J-Smooth is very low. He's going to back up, can't make it in time. J-Smooth is down, 2 tanks down for Simple Tankers, and they're starting to lose a lot of hit points here. You can see the indicator under the team names. That's a hit point pool.
But if Tofu's able to land 3 or 4 shells, that could start throwing it back into an even place. You've got Tofu with 1,020 hit points. That's enough to the point where he can trade a little damage and play it a little bit more aggressively. Because if you start to become too passive, what happens is Simp's able to then dictate everything about the match. If you don't have tempo control, you can't really win against Simp. Simp always dictates the pace of the battle, or at least is able to work with all other tempos.
Trying to go for that flat cap again. They were down to 10 seconds, but a reset, and now they're starting to lose more and more of their tankers. Concentrated fire again coming from Simp. Only 1 tank remains. That's Tofu Smurf in the north. And Simp continues to push to go for the chase. 55 seconds left for Tofu Smurf to try to escape. I don't think he can make it, Randall. There's too much firepower, too much mobility, too much of Simp.
Yeah, that attack was like a SWAT team. And all in one moment, they broke into that side of the map. And you could see it for the setup, how it just kind of shifted. You could see tanks just outside of range of their opponent, shifting just outside of the range of fire, and all at once, there was the call by Blue Boys, and they all moved in at the same time. You cannot deal with that many targets at once if you are the inferior force. And by inferior, I mean in numbers and in hit points. Doesn't matter what kind of skill you have. These guys are good enough that you're not going to be able to mitigate that with 4 tanks with that much health on Prohorovka.
Well, that does it for Simp on the defense, though. They're going to have to move over to the attack side as Simple Tankers will be on the defense here on Prohorovka, but Simp is 1 battle away from taking this series. Looking at any type of Eastern long-range firefights, maybe looking at the patterns, as you mentioned before, so eloquently, about how to punish Simple Tankers before they move in on the attack pattern. I really feel that Simple Tankers is the strongest in the type of play style on this map when they attack right out of the gate, right at the very beginning.
They do catch opponents off guard, but against a team like Simp that's so used to them, I don't know. I think these guys are so familiar that the next battle, this one with Simp being that final win they're looking for, they can't pull anything crazy, and neither can Simple Tankers, because they're both waiting for that. Simple Tankers is going to try and grab momentum in the series back, not just the battle, the series. If they try that with an aggressive move, that could set Simp off, but I doubt Simp's is going to let that fall through as a possibility. It's Simp, and this is against Simple Tankers, the team known for aggression.
Well, still anybody's game here, even though Simp is in the lead. We've seen Simple Tankers perform and impress multiple times. 17 seconds left to go until we start battle number 7 between these 2 teams. Randall, what do we have for tanks?
All right, for tanks, we've got 2 T-32s, 2 1390s, RU-251, and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs for Simps, going for those 5 tier 8s, 2 tier 7 on the attack. And then other side, Simple Tankers, led by J Smooth himself, 2 T-32s, a single 1390, 2 RU-251s, and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. So The only variation between these two teams is that we have an extra RU251 for Simple Tankers. I guess they're hashtag Team RU251, and then SIMP being hashtag AMX1390.
Question coming from Caster520. What are some good starting tanks and strategies for beginners? I started out on the American tank line, and I worked my way to the M4 Sherman, which is a tier 5 tank. And I would definitely recommend playing to that tank and getting into those tier 4, tier 5 matches with that tank. And then moving on from there into possibly the M26 Pershing or the T32.
The Pershing's a great starter tank because the basic concept is you find a hold down, you find cover, and then you fight people. And you continue going with that concept, and you will see success over and over again. On top of that, you've got a decently well-rounded tank. So go for the Pershing, or do what I did and go down the Russian medium line. And if you are an aggressive player and you think forward is the best direction, then just head for the T-34. Nice tier 5 tank, you can get to it quickly, and then you can play that forever if you want to. Or you can continue down that line, go for the T-54, my absolute favorite tank in this game, and then you can wreck people because you're awesome.
There's Jay Smooth hiding in the bushes here. Does not want to be seen by anybody. Another great way as well is to kind of work backwards. Look at which tanks you really like to watch in the WGLNA, one of these tier 8s or tier 7s or tier 6s, and say, hey, I really want to play that tank. Then look at the tech tree, see what tanks you have to unlock.
Or you can get a similar premium tank. If you like the IS-3, you can pick up the IS-6. Or you can go for, if you like the T-54, there's some premium tanks that are variations of that. You can also go for some German, there was the recent Panther release. You can go for the TOG for heavy tanks. You can go for
try to go the RU-251 or the 1390
you can,
based on today's topic here for a question of the day. Shots fired going over wall hacks and Tofu Smurf. Tofu's the only tank that has taken damage for simple tankers.
And that was blind fire, too.
It was some blind fire. 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Plenty of time for SIMP to set up any type of attack they really want here. Looking at the map control, SIMP dominates.
Although, there is one opening, I think. Look at the overmatch in the south. Brodus and Fedge have an advantage there as M41 Walker Bulldogs. But Simple Tankers has an advantage up north. If they were to recognize their overmatch, I think they could take out Absolute Royal if they pressure correctly.
Wallhacks takes a hit to the front for 285.
That's not going to help Wallhacks.
It's a little hey, how you doing coming from SIMP from long range.
They really can't afford to lose those hit points because of how close these guys start out in hit points. Every single hit matters so much more. If you start out with more hit points, you can afford to lose some, you know? Because until you're even or you have less hit points than your opponent, you can still probably trade effectively. And if you can trade efficiently, then you can come back and go. But if you start taking damage and it's the right tanks, the tanks like the T-32s, then they're first to fall. And it's that much quicker and that much easier for your opponent. Now, SIMP is grouping up. We've got both M41s together, Battle Buddies for Life. We've got Heavy 20 and Blue Boys, those 1390s together, and Adroxus and Crimson. So you see how everyone's playing that buddy system, staying together. Because, of course, two tanks are better than one, right?
Yeah, yes.
They're twice the fun. I mean, ask anyone.
Yes, yes. Mathematics now, working on math homework. 2:51 left for SIMP to attack, and there's a couple shots going into Crimson. 5:53 in that volley, but the return fire on Zach Kuhn does not make that free damage. They do trade, but more long-range fire towards Fej here. And Simple Tankers are trying to punish SIMP.
They are. They're paying to start this engagement, but will it be enough? Simple Tankers needs to make more shells. Tanks need to start going down because the damage spread is so wide. There goes Angry White Guy, but there, finally, a Walker Bulldog does go down, but that's not efficient. That's not valuable.
Especially when Zach Kuhn and Angry White Guy are the traded tanks. Wallhacks takes another hit. Crimson Corsair is low. And SIMP has placed tanks on the flag cap. Absolute Royal covering the north, while Simple Tankers will now fight over the railroad tracks. Wallhacks gets hit, falls back. He cannot stay in the fight at all. He cannot take a single hit. He will go down. Absolute Royal gets hit for 180 from long range. Crimson still low, but still alive here. guarding the south. 13 seconds left for Simple Tinkers to get the reset.
And Jay Smooth got a little bit greedy there. I don't think he's going to be able to go in and make this. Now he's taken one for 244.
Wallhacks try to go up and over. Absolute shuts him down. 4 seconds left to go. Jay Smooth moving in as fast as he can. He needs a shot on the run, and he goes down.
Tofu not enough time.
Is able to get the base capture. Admin is able to confirm, and that's it. Simp takes the series 5-2.
Wow, that's still not closer than the Noble record.
Yeah.
But that was still excellent.
Still excellent series coming from both teams. I could really appreciate what Simple Tinkers was trying to do with the traded fire. But even in that firefight, having a slight advantage at first, they lost 2 tanks after they take 1. It almost seems like for every 1 tank you tank from SIP, they'll take 2 away.
Yeah, they are so efficient in their trading. Their focus fire was so much better in that engagement. You saw Simple Tankers was putting the damage out. It was equal to what they were taking, but the problem is they weren't actually removing any guns from the game. As long as your tank is still has hit points, as long as the gun is still firing, you are still doing damage, and it doesn't matter if you were at full or half or 1. It's all the same. That tank is still on the battlefield, and that's the problem with Simple Tankers in that last battle. There were still tanks in the battlefield that should have been taken off that battlefield. That is because there was not the focus fire being called or that call not being obeyed, one of the two. And that is why that fight didn't go in their favor, even though they should have been able to win because they had the crossfires, because they had the positional advantage.
That's it at match number 3, our final match. RBIS versus Simply Irresistible begins after this. Stay tuned.